I ain't know if you know how to play cards and stuff, so you know.
I have not played cards in years.
We play, like me and my cousin, we play like 25 hands just to see who. Because, I mean, when
Man,
it's two people, it ain't really a lot of games.
I have not played in years.
I don't think I've ever played Uno. Like, I've never played, like, we have them.
I stopped because my family is crazy, and they were just making me not enjoy it anymore.
Adrian don't know how to play spades.
I haven't played that in a while either.
That's pointless.
Suitland High School, man. Instead of class, we would actually sit there and just play cards.
Yeah, my little cousin, that's what he did at Suitland High School. So when you graduated in 2008,
I didn't. And what? From what? From what?
She was like, what? From the other school? The other one? In 2008, what was Suitland like when you graduated?
So I was part of that first magnet school class. Like they had just built the auditorium. So if people want to know how old you are, they can Google when that was designed. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. They had built that auditorium. I don't even know if it's still there. They changed so much.
They doing something right now. Like where that field is, they look like they about to extend the school.
They probably are.
I'm talking about like I just seen that last week.
They just got a buttload of money, so
I'm not even sure the school open right now. Like
they had built the everything was woods. Like the townhouses that are across the street from here, everything was woods. But they built the auditorium when my oldest sister was in school there. And then my middle sister, who's a year and a half older than me.
Does her name rhyme with yours? Is it like Bernice Hill or something? Okay, all right. I really hate when parents do that. I just want parents don't name your kids rhyming things. Please don't do that. Especially not the boy and the girl.
Denise and Bernice.
Because when it's the boy and the girl, it's like don't name them Roy and Joy. Please don't do that. All right, go ahead.
But when I got there, they started that magnet school program where you had University High School, Visual Performing Arts, and then the regular school.
Right.
And so most people think I did VPA, Visual Performing Arts, because I did media. But I actually was in University High School because they allowed us to have an internship. So I started in television in high school.
So did you notice what you wanted to do, or you just that happenstance and then that led to you wanting to do?
So I knew I wanted to do something in media and entertainment. I wanted to be a performer, actually. I wanted to sing. But my father, I can hold a note.
You do know that you're going to have to.
I'm not
No,
today.
yes, you definitely, most definitely.
That's my song right there. No, sir.
Now.
No, sir.
Now I have the name for this interview segment.
Sir.
Because we're in intent, it's now going to be called Intense something. It's going to be called Intense something because I'm going to put the press to people.
No,
they
sir.
are going to do things they don't want to do.
No, sir.
Yeah, all right. Just wait and see. We'll see. You know, it's funny because when I was in middle school, they had the kids used to do like the little morning show. Like they had their own little morning show. I wanted to do that. I was like, I don't know why I felt then the mic would be my thing. Because Big Tigger came to the school when I was in the 8th grade.
Where'd you go?
Charles Carroll. It's in Carrollton. Everything's a Carroll in New Carrollton.
Yes.
Everything's a Carroll except for Parkdale. I'm gonna just call it Park Carroll. But yeah, so Big Tigger came to school, and I remember one of the kids had already been rapping. Like he had a demo tape, literally this cassette tape.
That's showing your age.
Woo! So kids, what we used to do to record music off the radio, you know, we would grind the tape and put it in, and it was a process. Mixtapes. Oh my god.
Yep.
That's why y'all understand. It wasn't a mixed CD. It was a mixed tape, literally. Oh my god! But yeah, I knew then. I was like, I want to do this. Like the kids sound all fun and comfortable on the radio. I was like, I'm not nervous. I'm never nervous. So, but rap didn't happen for me until maybe I was 18, 19. I started real late. I just got good.
Late?
Cause I got label mates that started it. Like one of my label mates was on the Apollo at like 9.
Man, you got Bammers who ain't start till 23, 30. Yesterday.
Yeah, but the industry says that they 19.
The industry ain't the industry no more. That's true.
The industry age different.
It say 19. It say a lot of stuff though.
It say that they unsigned.
Yep.
And they've been signed for about 8 months, and you be like, oh my god. I think that makes you want to rock with them because they seem like an indie artist and they're going hard.
Now,
and you
because
like they're
trying
going
to play that piece, that social piece, that they're trying to paint this picture. You know. Do the grassroots thing with an artist, like you've been there from the beginning. No, man, these folks been grinding. What you mean the beginning of what? No.
All right, so then, have you ever done radio out? You've done radio that wasn't gospel stations.
Yes.
Okay, so who's the most interesting person you've ever interviewed or come in contact with? Not even interviewed, just came in contact with.
Interesting
person.
Oh
I'm using that word. This is me. I'm being media trained. I'm media training myself. I say interesting.
So you got to define interesting, because that's
You're
you
gonna take my generic away.
You got to define interesting. Meaning like everybody would like to hear something from them, or like I wanted to talk to them and meet them type thing.
Not so much that, but all right. So I'm gonna give you an example. I flew out to Las Vegas one time to get in the studio with Wale. Fat Trail was there. This was like the day after Wale signed him, so they getting him acclimated. While they're listening to beats, laying hooks down, just getting ready to do this push. So we get back to the hotel, and Trail had like a liter of soda, and he needed a cup. So this is a real fancy hotel with the restaurants in the lobby and all. Not the ones I can. Ain't no red cup, ain't no red cups around. So there was this store owner. He was like putting down his he was closing the gates, and Trail asked him for a cup. But the way Trail started talking, I'm like, this guy's gonna send us on our way. But Trail started talking so well. The guy raised the gate up, gave him a coffee mug. Wow. This is something like you would sell. Like he gave him I was like, but it's just, this is not what you would think would happen from this kid from Northeast. Oh, he's from the ghetto, the hood, that he ain't gonna talk like I was like, I don't even think I could have done that. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I like to think I got a good vocab, but it was crazy. So like that's what I mean, like interesting. Something maybe you wouldn't have expected, or just an encounter.
I got two.
Okay.
The first one, the first one is Quincy Jones. So
I believe this to be interesting.
Yes, I was at XM. So backstory. I fought with dyslexia forever. They didn't label that when we were coming up, right? They just put you in SLRD. Slow learning reading disability.
I read from like right to left though. I definitely read.
I have to cover up everything, and it's a whole mess. But so yeah, I was in special education, and so reading has always been a challenge for me. But I forced myself to read the back of albums. You know what I'm saying? To read albums, CD covers,
something that was interesting to you.
And it wasn't necessarily for the content, because they're like, I ain't know half these people.
Just the structure of it and the organization of the information, it just like made sense to me. Anyway, so I'm working at XM Satellite Radio, and Quincy Jones is there, and of course everybody's swarming him all over the place. I wasn't going to get him in my studio because I was doing gospel at the time. He wasn't going to do a gospel interview, so I just kind of followed behind him. And was just like talking to him as he walked. If somebody's important enough to you and they on the move, you're gonna move with them. Mm-hmm. So I was just walking with him, talking to him and explaining. And I knew of an artist called Letta Mbulu.
Artist that he
there's no way I could get. Okay.
Man, so I started talking to him about Letta because had I not read the back of her album, I wouldn't have known he produced that. Okay. Yeah, because it's an African sister, and
that's the type of stuff that makes them want to talk to you, because you're asking them about something that no one else is going to mention.
Right, and he literally was like, keep her with me, let me keep talking. Every time he went from studio to studio, when he came out of a studio, he would look for me, want to walk with me to the next studio, and just having that conversation with him, like that was powerful for me. That was life changing. Yeah. So
I seen Stevie Wonder leave it. I walked out the door with him at Community Hope. He came to Union Temple one Sunday, and I just had this conversation on social media. Like, I don't really do starstruck; it's not my thing. But I'm like, this Stevie Wonder. Right. Like, I still didn't
got respect.
Yeah, I still didn't say anything to him, but I looked and I was like, this is really Stevie Wonder right next. I stood next to Drake. I stood next to Kevin Durant. I see Allen Iverson at the MGM all the time. I don't say nothing to none of them. Right. I'm like, this is Stevie Wonder. And again, I still didn't say nothing, but I've always said if I had a record deal and that money I had for features and stuff, I'm getting Stevie for something. Whether he produces a record, he sings on it. I'm like, so then when Busta Rhymes, he has a song on one of his albums and Stevie singing on the hook, I was like, I need the instrumental with just the hook. Somebody get me the instrumental with the hook. The song is called I've Been Through the Storm. So I was like, and then at the time, I think I was making gospel songs. And I was like, I've been through the storm. I was like, come on, man. Like, somebody get me. So who's the other interesting story?
Bill Cosby.
I have interesting stories about him too. And it's not because I met him. I just have interesting stories. You know, he was my role model growing up. Like, I know that. But So my interesting story involving Bill Cosby's show. I was working at the University of Maryland, cleaning up after the games. I'm working through a temp agency, and the supervisor, you know, he was trying us out on different jobs to see what we did well. So he had me mop the floor in like the exercise room. And he came in and he was like, "Why are you mopping like that?" And I'm like, "Oh God, I'm doing it wrong, man." Because I mean, I mop the kitchen floor at home, but it's not that big, and no one's around when I'm doing it, so you just know it was done.
Tell me he didn't scoop and flip
So I was like,
"Oh my gosh!"
So he said I did it the best he ever seen anyone do it. He said, "Where'd you learn to mop?" I said, "From watching the Cosby Show."
Oh, you did it to yourself?
Yes. Remember when he was showing Rudy and he did the little shovel flip turn out the slap joint? I was like, that's really weird. He was like, "I love the way you mop." And guess what I got promoted to? Mopping the basketball court.
Wow.
94 feet of the University of Maryland basketball court. So the team that had Daryl Strawberry Jr. and all these people, like, I'm cleaning up, and I'm looking at the game like, y'all scuffing up my floors. Like, I'm not even appreciating basketball no more.
I used to live on that court, man. I used to live on that court. I went to all the summer, to the
I thought you had
basketball camps.
I thought you had this.
Yeah, I went to all the basketball camps.
You know, it's a basketball court.
I used to hang out. My sister went to Maryland when Lenny and Derek Lewis and all of them were there. So I used to hang out. I would go to school with her. And then when she would go to class, I would just sit in the quad and hang out, or at the student union.
There's
hang
a
out with them.
$400 jersey that's in the store at Comcast Center. This wasn't Coalfield House. I was working at the Comcast Center. They made the new one. So it was this jersey in the store, $400. I looked at it every
Lenny's jersey?
Yes, I looked at it every single day. But my paycheck back then with this temp agency, $7 an hour, would be like $236 a week.
Is it still there? I would get that.
I was 18. This is 20 years ago.
Oh man.
And the jersey might be there, and it might be a different price.
I've done speaking events with his mom since, but like that whole thing just.
I really don't know how I didn't get it, but it would have took 2 paychecks. So I think that prevented me from doing it.
Done it.
You know what I'm saying?
I might have done it.
I used to have to ride 18 stops from here to the university, to College Park, and 18 stops on the train. That might, I'm spending like $8 on the train. I was like, I'm really working just to get back to work. You know what I'm saying? All right, but your Bill Cosby story, let's get it.
He had a book come out that he did with Dr. Alvin Poussaint, the same person who helps him do all the, because he has a whole education behind each episode that he does, and Dr. Poussaint, who's a psychiatrist.
That show in a different world changed my whole life.
Yeah. But he did this book. Man, I don't even remember the title of it now, but I was doing radio in New York, and so we set up an interview to talk to him about it. And going through the book, I'm like, he was so crazy hard on moms, to me, on moms who did, who were single moms, and almost like blaming them for why their sons turned out a particular way. And so, me being me, I'm asking him about this. I'm like, yo, why are you hard on the moms? And he just, what do you mean? I'm hard on the moms. It was just something about him at that time that just did not sit with me. And I told my co-host, Katie Bowe, I was like, yo, something that is not right about this guy, man. And I'm coming into this interview thinking, yo, this is Bill Cosby. And it's like that whole interview, reading that book shattered. I
think we see the character sometimes, like it's not even Bill Cosby, it's half Cliff Huxtable and half Bill Cosby. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm torn. All right, so this is my thing.
But my thing isn't even from the Cosby Show. I'm older, so I'm back to Fat Albert and them. No, I ain't that old. What you trying to do?
I watched I Spy. Now it was definitely on like rerun status. Yeah. Well, I feel like most of the stuff I watched might have been on a rerun, but nah. I remember seeing I Spy before, but it's funny what you said about the book signing situation. So I had a situation with I don't want to say it. One of our great thinkers.
Cornel West.
Cornel West.
I know.
Cornel West.
There's some stories about him too.
So, me being the young, intelligent, question-asking person that I am, so he has a book called Race Matters.
Yes.
And in Race Matters, he talks about our young black kids needing these great black educators. and more of them. So my question was, why do you teach at an Ivy League school? I don't remember if it's Princeton, Yale, Harvard, but he was teaching at one of them. And I'm just like, if you're supposed to be one of our 4, like you're just one of them, why don't you teach at Howard or Clark or something like that? So I asked, and it was like, I was basically told, like, stay in a child's place and how dare you question me. And I'm just like, bro, I bought your book and read it at like.
Where did you ask 16. This question at? Was it like a forum?
It was an open forum.
Oh, snap.
It wasn't a book signing. It was definitely, he was like, it wasn't a panel, but it was some type of forum. But it was other speakers, but they weren't all at the table together. Like they took turns. And I'm not to be spoken to in that manner. So like I tell people all the time, my parents didn't curse at me. They didn't talk to me that way. Ain't nobody else allowed to. The supervisor at work can't slide with that. Sometimes I get mad at my wife because I feel like her supervisor tries it too much. I'm like, do you want me to? Because I don't play them games,
just
right?
Pull a trigger. Just let
so I'm just like, who are you to talk to? And I'm just like, bruh, you contradicted yourself, in my opinion. But my thing was, maybe he can give me some insight on why he's doing it. So like, if you want to reach those kids whose families are more affluent and they come to this school and you don't want them to not have a black teacher, I'm like, I get that, but you, in my opinion, you went to the school that paid you more. You can't make me think otherwise. So, I ended up leaving, but I'm glad I didn't buy the book. Like, I had got it from the library. I don't even know what made me pick it up, except for maybe hearing people brag about how smart he was and all this, and I always thought I was that. So I'm like, okay. But also, I've noticed one thing with like intelligent people, sometimes it seems they contradict themselves, but it's growth as they get older. Their opinion changes. But I'm like, this is in the same book. You know what I'm saying? This ain't years later. It's the same book. So yeah, Cornel West and I might be on site when I see you, brother. I know you about 80, but might be on site.
Not on site.
It should have been on site then.
Oh my God.
Security stopped.
That was 20 years. He might. No, that wasn't.
That was like 20.
Race Matter was like 10 years ago.
It was more than that. It was more than that. I was a kid. He has something else called Something Matters too. Yeah. But the Race Matters, that was a little older.
Oh my gosh.
I might have been a teen. Like, I was like, bro, don't play with me. But why did you know it was Cornel West?
I just.
Why did you know? You knew it was Cornel West. I need to know why you knew.
He is, when you say intellectual and the voice, that's him. He's positioned himself to do that. And to be fair to him, had he not had this Ivy League platform, most people would not have received him as that. Okay. So,
and see, that's what I feel like. He could have explained that, right, to be as articulate as you are, like, get me, but it was just like you were offended, like, how dare I ask you, like, and I'm just like, brother, I read your book. You should appreciate me at my age and the fact that I even read that. You know what I'm saying? But listen, that went very wrong.
It's W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington.
That's what I was actually trying to think of, and Frederick Douglass, just because the way his hair is, because he got the bush and it's like
the
great.
Intellectual versus the doers all over again. You know,
that was an intellectual versus an intellectual. He just ain't realized what that conversation
he was about to do.
Like my mother, I used to want to get an IQ test so bad, but my mother didn't want the off chance to confirm what I thought I knew.
Which was?
I felt I was a genius. And it's like,
she, out of her own fear, that she wouldn't have been able to support that?
Nah, she ain't had that fear. My mother, he's too arrogant, he's cocky, like she's always thought that, because like my older sister didn't have the grades I had, and I used to mess with her about it, and I kind of feel bad about it now.
Sure.
But I put in a lot of work. Like, what people don't get, I have a quote that I tell people, it takes a lot of effort to make something look effortless. So when you're in class and you raising your hand for everything, they don't know I read ahead 5 chapters when my mother thought I was in the room playing Madden, just so I can get to school and show off. It was intentional. Like, I used to sit there, act like I wasn't paying no attention, I'm talking to so-and-so, just so the teacher can call on me thinking they catching me, and I can shock them, like, oh, that's Charles Dickens. Like, I know the answer, you know what I'm saying? So I put in a lot of work, so it's like that's probably why I like certain athletes, like how people don't like Tom Brady or Kobe or something when they were young because they were so arrogant. I said, but that means they put in the most work to be that. And the same thing about being arrogant and cocky and overconfident or whatever you want to call it, it's gonna make you be good every time because you know you're gonna have to deal with it and accept it. If you do bad and you have a bad performance, you got to take all that. You know what I'm saying? You got to deal with every single hate that come with it. But it's gonna motivate you to do again.
But arrogant and cocky to me is somebody else's. It's a reflection of somebody. Not even just it's a reflection of their own insecurities. Because if you could do it, you wouldn't have nothing to say about the man who could do it too.
That's a fact.
So it is completely.
That's why I be telling people I don't have competition. Like even with battle raps, I tell people that I feel like if I wrote what I wrote and I'm happy with what I wrote in a written battle, that is, you're not. I don't feel like at best we can have. The worst thing that can happen is we can have a classic battle. Right. You could do amazing and I can do amazing. People will debate it. Oh, he won 2 rounds. He won 1, 2-1. Either way, but you can't. At the end of the day, you can't make me not have the ability to rap. Right. You can do your absolute best, and that still don't mean you'll win every round. You can't control what or even if you do win every round. Like in battle rap, we have what we call a gentleman's 30. Mm-hmm. So you won every round, all 3 rounds, but you edged them. Like you didn't embarrass them. Right. You know what I'm saying? And then you just have a flat out 30. It was like, all right, well, look, you just got mollywopped all 3 rounds. So I'm like, at the end of the day, you have no control over my skill set and ability. It's not basketball where I can have a great offensive game, but if you're amazing at defense, you can stop me to some degree. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But this, you can't stop what comes out my mouth. And that's just how I was at school. So like my mother, her thing was, all right, I let you get skipped all these grades they want to skip you and everything. Let's say you get to college at 13, then what? Then what? You have to become an entrepreneur because you're not old enough to get a work permit. Yeah. You can't hang out with your coworkers and go to happy hour. You can't hang out with your classmates and go to happy hour. So now you're in college around all these grown people and they're old enough to smoke cigarettes and have sex. It's a life that you're supposed to be a kid and enjoy your like most people at genius level, they go crazy. Yeah. The Bobby Fishers and all, like they lose their mind. So I'm glad she didn't do it because they used to ask all the time in elementary school, like he's ready to go to the next, like he's bored here. Yeah. So it's causing behavior problems too. So they kind of want me out the way because I'm disturbing everybody else from learning because I already got it. I get it. You know, it's not that difficult. Like my mother was great in English, my father was good in math. So I would go home and ask them to show me something, then I pick it up and it's like, all right, I can do it. Like I got, like my father has showed me like statistics one time using the sports records, you know what I'm saying, in the newspaper. And we used to have these tests in elementary school where we do like 100 math problems and I think they gave us 5 minutes. So it's addition in maybe 2nd grade, multiplication in 3rd, division. So in 3rd I'm doing the multiplication one. I do it in probably 2 minutes because I write fast. So I'm like, I'm ready. I want the division one. I'm like, I got all the other buttons. They giving us buttons. I don't want to wait till 4th grade. I'm ready now. So I did it in 3rd grade. I want you to know that I'm the only one that was allowed to take it. But I did. But I went home and I said, Dad, how do you do division? Yeah. Because they're not teaching it until next year. And basically, when he showed me, it's just an advanced subtraction, just like multiplication is basically addition. Yeah. I was like, oh, all right. You know what I'm saying? And I went and I did the test like that week. And then they're like, okay, we need to talk to you about your son.
No, what is going on? And they needed to go ahead and push you up.
But she would because of the social aspect. She didn't do it.
Now we have so many resources where a social aspect could be supplemented, if that makes sense. Right. You could get your academics, and that didn't exist back then, I get. And we can never go back to see if you would have been, the Einstein. You wouldn't have all of this.
And that's why
You'd be a completely different person.
That's why I never regret anything that happens. There's a letter at my mother's house from the dean of some department at the school I wanted to go to at MIT. Oh. But the thing is, and they took the time to write her to tell her why I wasn't going to be able to come to this school. Besides the fact that
was this before you graduated?
Yeah. I had more suspensions than anybody in the history of high school in Prince George's County. I guarantee it. And I did it in a year and a quarter. Because once I got to Tall Oaks, it's a second chance school. Jail is after Tall Oaks.
You had to go to a second chance
school. Jail is after the vocational school. There's no other.
No, there's nothing.
There's nothing after that. But the thing was, they told her they didn't doubt that I could do whatever academically on the school. They didn't know what kind of what I was gonna bring to the
They didn't
campus
know
life.
what person you were gonna be.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
You don't know if I'm a trap
Right.
on the campus
Right.
or what.
Yep.
And I always regretted that. But I was like, imagine I went to this school and I get out and I make $175,000 a year. I'm living in Potomac, Maryland. I don't feel the need to create a help DMV
Yeah.
and help people pay their
Yep, you'd
bills.
be a completely different person.
I'm away from that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I love the course and the way life happens. Like that's just how it's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? So, but one person I did meet, getting back to that, I met Kelly Price at Iverson Mall when Kent Mill used to be inside Iverson Mall.
So you're
Before it
Asian.
was Nobody Beats the Wiz. I'm out
You're
here.
Asian.
I'm out here. Look, first of all, I'm not as old as I look. I've had the gray hair since like 20 something. I
You
don't
haven't
whatever.
even gotten the Tower Record.
Whatever.
That's how far
Nah,
back you
I'm
went.
Kent Mill at Iverson Mall, and it was like warm outside. I remember having on short sleeve and all that. She has on like a mink coat. Like this is big Kelly Price, like big diva. And I understand later why she made it to that show she was on. And I just remember I opened the door. They were coming out and I was going in like by the food court, and like you know they just walked out or whatever. And I was just like, "You welcome." Like I knew who it was. I didn't care. I'm like, you weren't raised with Matt. You're welcome. You know what I'm saying? And she turned around and said something, and like I wanted to respond, very vulgar, but I didn't. And I was just like, and I really thought all celebrities were like that because this was one of my earliest experiences. She might have been the first celebrity I ever met. She might have been the first celebrity I ever met in person.
I think the ones it's just me. The ones that are mad cool that are just people are fewer than the ones that are a-holes.
Right.
And it's sad. It's even on the gospel side.
I believe
and
somebody
it's
told
sad.
me about some gospel artists that he met, and he said that was his bad celebrity experience, and I was like, not.
Listen,
No.
I had in it. There's a regular a yearly conference called the Gospel Music Workshop of America. Reverend James Cleveland back in the day started this for the purpose of educating artists. It was kind of like the first real education for artists ever to be created. But it was important for them to understand music theory, marketing, for all of that stuff. So he created the Gospel Music Workshop of America. When I came into gospel radio, so I started high school television, self-esteem issues, didn't like the way I looked on television, had a friend of the family who was on radio, watched how people responded to, because you can be just invisible if you keep your mouth closed in public with radio. And so we would hide in the corners when you know a gospel radio listener when you see them. We would hide in the corner of stores and stuff when we would
gospel
see.
radio.
Oh, listen,
Okay,
no.
now hold on. Hold on.
Mama with that little handbag in the corner, and we know you listen to gospel music. All right, so
I keep the radio on praise. I do not appear.
this was before praise.
I know, but I'm just saying.
Folks
I don't.
who
Oh,
are
this
church
is
folk.
like 14:50 a.m. time.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes.
I
Even
was
before
around.
that,
I was around.
1340.
Ooh.
That's where I started.
Ooh.
1340.
I remember that
And
too.
so you know what the church person looked like.
All right, okay.
And so we would hide in a corner, me and my sister, and like if we're going shopping, we let her go off shopping, and then we pretend like we didn't know and be like, "Oh, are you such and such from the radio? Oh my gosh, I listen to you." And she would hate it, but the response I became addicted to and was like, yo, to be able to impact somebody like that with your voice. So even though I had some success on television and people like me, like I could have gone up the ranks from, into the whole teen challenge phase and everything, because it was during that time. I just couldn't. And so I hid behind a radio mic. But from that,
I just had this conversation with Poet yesterday, day before, about radio personalities being like local celebrities. I'm like, to the regular person, you're a celebrity and you don't realize
don't have a clue.
You don't realize. I'm like,
Don't have a clue.
They listen to you every day,
Don't
so they
have a
feel
clue.
like they know you personally.
I have not been on the radio for more than a year now. And I stood in a subway line and placed my order, and somebody behind me was like, "Your voice sounds familiar."
That's what
And
happened.
I'm like, what
They didn't
in the
recognize her
world?
face. They heard the voice.
What in the world? And had no clue. And they were like, "I listened to you back when you were on Kiss." I'm like, that was how many years ago? When I'm playing gospel go-go and stuff. How many years ago? And so we absolutely have no clue. You're absolutely right.
I told Angie one time that, and she was like, "Mo, everybody doesn't know who I am." I'm like, Angie, everyone knows who you are.
We have no point of reference.
They know
No
who
point
you
of
are.
reference.
They
and when you're
listening
an
to you
insecure person,
because when
like I
you're
was,
driving, like you're listening to the
We're part of
radio.
their
Yeah,
lifestyle.
like you're really a
Like,
part of
we
their
take you to
everyday
church,
life.
we take you to work,
They
we
might
take
hear
you
you more than they talk
Yep.
to a relative.
You're
You
right.
talk to a relative on the phone once a couple weeks or whatever. They hear you every day. They feel like even because they're talking to you in the car.
Yeah.
You don't know this, but they're talking because they're calling, but you know they
Never.
can't get through on the radio. I always get through on the radio for some reason. I don't know why I got the magic touch. Like I met Bernie McCain one time, and he was like the
Uncle
OG.
Bernie.
He was the star to me
Yeah.
as a kid. I remember because this is when like Kathy Hughes still had a radio show.
Oh wow.
Like I was.
That was back in the day.
My mother used to listen to the radio, talk radio, like all the time, and he had some little trivia and they was giving away a prize, a book or something like that. But I knew the answer to the question.
Right.
Like maybe I had just learned it in school. I was like, Mom, I know that. She's like, you don't know. I'm like, Mom, I know it. Like I really. She was like, all right. So she called. She got through. Like we get through on the radio in my family. This is what we do.
I don't know what touch you got, but I'm
So-
sure somebody would love it.
So I answered the question. You know, she picked up the book one day, like while she was at work. Like I didn't go, but he was speaking at something one time, and she took me, and she showed me who he was, and I was like, no way, that's him, because his voice is so deep, and I'm thinking he's like some 40-year-old
We always get
guy.
that too. You don't sound like you don't look like
He
you
was
sound.
like 60 though. And I was like, he sounds like he's 40. And I was like, his voice threw me up.
We get that all
Like,
the time.
who is it? Demu, I think. He got a real bassed out
Yep.
voice. I was like, bro, y'all don't look nothing like.
Everybody tells me I sound dark and fat, and I'm like, what the heck does that sound like? What in the
Not
world?
dark and fat.
That's
like,
what I
how do-
get. I'm like, what?
But
in the
people
world is
do
that?
give it a color though. I ain't gonna lie, because I've met people. I was like, you light skinned, bro?
Light skin and dark. How does that sound?
I don't know, but it does. Or apparently it doesn't, because we're wrong about
But
it.
all the time.
But we think it does.
All the time.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I definitely am very much guilty of assuming that someone's dark skinned and they're not.
What everybody thought? What was his name from PGC? Everybody thought he was black. He was white, not Dakota. What's his name?
Oh man, back in the day,
Yes.
I remember who you talk. Oh, you talking about the one that screams out it was Friday, David Haynes?
No.
Not Toppy.
Tigger used to intern for him. That's how he started. He started carrying his records upstairs.
Albie.
Yep, Albie D.
Yeah.
Everybody thought he was black.
Slim.
Bro,
When I
man
tell you,
was
I
straight
remember
white.
radio. Look, I used to listen to Tigger when I came home because Tigger wasn't always on 6 to 10. He used to do the 2 to 6 slot, and he was on when I came home from school. And I thought somebody had changed my radio station because Eminem's "How My Name Is" it came out, and I was like, "What is this?" Like I thought this was. First of all, I thought it was Weird Al Yankovic playing.
Right.
I didn't even think it was a real rapper. I was like, "Who changed my station?" Then I started listening. I'm like. And I didn't realize till I seen the music video. And I'm looking at it and I see Big George Mirasan and all that. And I'm like, hey, dude rapping. Like, he really, like, he playing,
Right.
but he really rapping. And I'm just like, who would know he would become one of my favorite rappers later? And I'm just
I
like,
love it.
like, I listened, Big Tigger was playing How My Name Is. I'll never forget, that's the first time I ever heard Eminem. Exclusive. We got the exclusive. I'm gonna get one from her too. Well, we got the Quincy Jones story. Yeah, let's get back to this. Y'all not
I
even
don't
here.
even remember what I was getting back to. What was that? What was the question?
Oh, well, I don't know. I don't know.
I
We're
was going
talking.
back to radio for something.
This is what happens. I don't know, man. We
Oh, Gospel Music Workshop America.
yeah, Gospel Music Workshop.
Anyway, so
Have
when
you ever been to the Gospel Explosion? Because I used to want to go, and
hosted.
then they stopped doing them. I looked at one line at one time. It was like Yolanda, Kirk, and all. I was like, oh, well, I'm not in Georgia. I think it was in Georgia. I was like, oh.
See, I can't enjoy any of that stuff because it's always work for me. Like, people ask me now, you want to go to a concert? I'm like, no, I can't enjoy that stuff. Most times, there's very few artists I can sit and listen to and enjoy. Like Fred Hammond, I can go see him all the time. Israel Houghton, I can see him all the time. Stevie Wonder, folks that when you go to their concerts, you get something different than their CD. You know what I'm saying? You get an experience. I can go to those folks, but the majority of folks is work for me.
All right, so
I
I know
can't
people
enjoy
don't like when
those.
Noriega cuts the host off, so I know I did that. So we're gonna go back to this music conference. Let's go.
Oh, Gospel Music Workshop America. So when I finally got into radio, the friend who introduced me to that experience and that feeling was at the gospel radio station 1340 WICB. So when
That's what it was. I was over here trying to
That's
think
what-
of it. I was trying my best. I'm like, I know what it was.
that's what it was. So when I entered into it, we were singing. I told you I used to sing, so we sang in choirs. My sisters and I, we had a
Which I
singing
was
group.
singing.
Anyway,
my great grandmother made me, my sister, and my cousin sing in church one time. We sang because we was in the house sitting on the steps and we was singing it in there, and she was like, "Oh, y'all gonna sing in church on Sunday? You know, the church in the country, you can't tell her no."
We had a whole group. In fact, you know William Beckton, we were the first ones to sing his songs.
He used to play in the church right there on Alabama Avenue.
When he was just a little youngin' out of Duke Ellington, we used to sing his songs before he recorded. So he would play for us. So
we used to sing "Be Encouraged" in school.
Yeah.
You know, when you got a crossover song, because that song was on PGC.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the one. Like it don't happen often. Like
he don't even sing.
I think Marvin Sapp's "Never Would Have Made It" got played on secular radio.
And William don't even sing it. William don't sing. That's Cliff Jones.
He's playing the.
That's Cliff Jones singing.
What was the keyboard?
Cliff Jones from Seven Sons of Soul.
Yeah, I know who Cliff Jones is. Cliff Jones has worked with a lot of artists from here that I know. But William Beckton used to so it was a pastor, associate pastor. I used to go to From the Heart.
He's a pastor now in North Carolina.
I used to go to a church called From the Heart. It was in Temple Hills, and Pastor Duval had left there, and he started his own church. So they were using the auditorium in the school that's right there on Alabama Avenue and MLK, and they were in there. So William Beckton was the minister of music there.
He did some awesome stuff locally. He did.
Yeah. No, I definitely remember. I remember because we used to sing "Melodies in Heaven" was that school song. If you were in high school when "Melodies from Heaven" came out, then you know what I'm talking about. The choirs at school hit it. The guys would make the beat on the lunch table, and the girls would like "Melodies from Heaven" was one of them crossover songs. Like it's "Melodies from Heaven" is it. Shout out to my girl Kim because she knows exactly what I'm talking about because she was in the choir. I used to skip my class and come mess with the kids in the choir. She already. This is why I got suspended a lot. I was never in. I went to school every day I was allowed. I just did not stay in. No, I went to class. I didn't stay. Like, all right, so this is where they messed up. In 10th grade, they changed the classes from the block schedule. They started giving us those 4 hour and a half classes instead of 8 45-minute classes. The problem is you still giving me the same 30 minutes worth of work, but the problem is that only took me 15 minutes. Right. What do you want me to do for an hour 15 minutes? Just sit here? Right. I used to try to do my homework. They be like, no, it's homework. Do it at home. Yeah. I'm like, you're not getting it till tomorrow. What difference do it make? You know what I'm saying? So that's all. Let the kids do the homework and sit there and do all right. Like, otherwise they're going to mess with people. What else are you going to do? I'm not going to sit there and shut up for an hour 15. That's dumb. So yeah, "Melodies from Heaven," one of them songs.
And Kirk was still broke. He got evicted. Even though that CD. I wrote a book while I was in New York in radio.
Hold on, that's the second CD. He was broke on the second CD?
Kirk was broke for a few times because he had.
Because that's not on the first one. The reason why we sing and all that's the first album.
Label.
I never paid.
You gotta look at the label.
I don't know.
Hezekiah was broke until.
I don't know what label Kirk was on.
He was on Gospel Centric.
Okay.
He was on Gospel Centric, who eventually sold out to Verity, who spiraled out. But even Hezekiah Walker wrote the foreword to so he was one of my jocks when I was running the station in New York. And so he wrote a foreword to everybody kept asking me, "Artists, can you tell me how to get on them?" And I couldn't, I like to help, but I don't have time to help everybody. So I said, let me write a book. So when you ask me how to, let me just hand you this book. And so Hez wrote the foreword for it, and he had told me.
Hezekiah Walker wrote the foreword for your book?
Yeah, because he was like, this needs to go out.
See, all right. We hold on. Because you just glossed over that. Hezekiah Walker wrote the foreword for your book.
Yeah.
99 and a half just won't do. Wrote the. You don't just say that, right?
Money even with that song.
But you don't just say that in casual conversation that Hezekiah Walker wrote the foreword for my book and keep moving. No, you don't. You don't from now on. You don't.
Okay, I'm sorry.
You don't do that.
Bishop Hezekiah Walker.
Right. Exactly. Put some respect on this man.
First book.
Man, that's God's main man.
Oh, he was my main man. I absolutely love him.
That's love right there.
He wanted to because he said that this information needed to get out because like he told me about a time when, and he had all these platinum albums too, up to Live in London. But he got screwed in his contract as well.
I thought that he did the Live in London too. Yeah. You know when I think Live in London, I think Donnie McClurkin.
Yeah. No,
that intro, that's what I believe. Intro on Live in London is, oh my God, that's one of my favorite songs. I want to listen to it now.
Everybody got screwed in these contracts, and
secular music and gospel music.
Oh, it's no different. And I tell people that all the time. Stop looking. Gospel music is still music. It's still the industry, and you got to understand the industry don't care how many people get saved. They don't care who go to heaven. They don't care. They don't care. They care that you move these units. And Hez told me about a time when his daughter was sick and he needed to go get medicine, but his car wouldn't go forward, and so he had to drive reverse all the way to
I had a coworker
the
that
pharmacy.
had to do
You see what I'm saying? And he's a star.
I used to watch her park on like a slight slant at work because
Oh,
she could
man.
back in and the car was.
And but Kirk had to move out in the middle of the night so that nobody would see him get evicted. Like, and he's a star. Like, these are crazy things people.
And like I said, that is second album music.
It wasn't until I know
reason why I sing
it wasn't
rang
until
off
these
and he
folks
was broke.
renegotiated some stuff that until these contracts came up for renewal, until companies were bought out by other companies, that people were able to begin to claim their
And now
rights
he running
back.
it up. And Kirk been running gospel music since he stepped in. Like, I've never seen, I don't think there's one person in sports, like whatever, that's had a run as long. Kirk has been leading the league in scoring for about 30 years now, man. Shout out to Kirk Franklin, man. I need his book. Does he have a book? He gotta have a book. I need that book.
It's called The Blueprint.
It should be called The Blueprint. Shout out to Kirk Franklin, man.
Too, but
Shout out to Kirk Franklin for The Blueprint, man.
So just like they came into the industry with a pure heart, you know, just wanting to share their music with the world, and then they kind of got slapped in the face. I came into gospel radio with a pure heart. I loved gospel music. I was singing it, and I just wanted to continue to share it. I had this inspiration who was a family friend in front of me that got me into radio. And so I go to this workshop, and, you know, that's where I learned about the egos of these people who think Bishop is their first name. It's like, bruh, it's not. Okay, it's just,
I used to tell artists all the time,
relax.
I said, please look in the mirror and say your government
Your
name
name.
to remind yourself.
Man.
Because you become the moniker. Like, even when I rap, like, I'm more better in the moment that I'm battling. I think I can beat Eminem. But the moment I'm done and you're telling me how good I was, I'm like, yeah, but when I said this, I should have said that. You know, like, I really become Maurice real quick. You know what I'm saying?
For that, I realized women's place in the industry. Because very soon I was expected to be in folks' rooms.
Mm-hmm. I heard the double entendre. I don't know if y'all heard that. I heard the double entendre.
Like, it was an expectation. Okay, and I'm like, yo, I'm in this. What are you talking about? I'm a radio personality in this industry. Bishop, I was trying to give you a compliment for your music, and you expected me to be in your room later? What is going on?
I get it.
It shattered everything.
You just
and I learned the industry.
You just reminded me of something that I wanted to mention, and it's funny because we were just talking about him. So Kirk Franklin, people acted like he was supposed to be God himself.
When he cuts out his
when Kirk kirked. Yes, when Kirk kirked. I don't know about you or you, but had that been me and my child, understand, I don't care what you know me for. I don't like, you could have known me from when I made a gospel song. You could have known me when I came and spoke to the kids at the school. You could have known me for the peace walk, but it would have been very violent. Ain't nobody playing with me like that.
Though. Look at this.
You watched Dave Chappelle's newest?
No.
You should watch it. It's the point that he makes in it, and I'm not saying whether I'm for it or against it, but the point he makes in it is that
on this podcast or interview or discussion thing, we say whether we're for and against things.
I understand where he's coming from. Let me say
I haven't watched it yet, so I really can't press the issue on that one.
He points, one of his main points is that you can treat black folks anyway, but the second you treat someone in the LGBTQ community, then you are canceled.
So, I had a conversation with DJ Heat, who happens to be gay.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted everybody. I talk to certain people sometimes about topics that relate to them, but someone I feel I can have a legitimate conversation with. And I haven't, like with this particular Dave Chappelle thing, I haven't seen anyone that's gay be offended. I've seen other people be offended for them. This is just what I've noticed. Now, what I asked Heat was before, I told her, I said, what I don't like is when it comes to gay and ghetto, I just don't like flamboyance. If you gay, you gay. You ain't got to talk like a man or dress like a girl or like, I just be yourself. All right, but you're gay. You know what I'm saying? But like, you don't have to all the extra, you know what I'm saying? But I'm like, the same thing with someone that may be black and just being on the phone, on the speakerphone, on the bus. I just don't like the extra flamboyance. So, black. You don't have to be the stereotype. So what I told her is not that someone that's gay has to hide it, but if they wanted to, they could attempt to hide it if they wanted to.
This black the second you step out.
You heard it on the radio that I am dark skinned and fat. You heard that. Like, there's no changing that. You know what I am. You know it's there. You heard it in the voice inflection.
I can't change it in my voice on my skin.
You can hear the vernacular. It's there. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I've always said. I was like, I don't like, and then maybe I'm wrong. And if I'm wrong and someone sees this, please call me, inform me. I will check me. I will write a retraction, whatever. But I don't like the fact that gay rights seems to have surpassed not even civil rights, but human rights. But mainly civil rights. And I'm just like, this, I want stuff to be fair across the board. Like, I don't care. Like, my sister-in-law's gay. I know plenty. Like, I don't care. But I'm like, someone was fighting for this a lot longer publicly than you were fighting for this. And I was just like, I'm glad that y'all and y'all mob went hard and y'all got, like, have each other's back. Like, that's love. But I don't like the two being compared, because they're not the same. And on the flip side to that, I really feel bad for a person that I want you to have the civil rights too, because there's gay people that are black. Right. So you're facing both. I feel the dilemma for you. You know what I'm saying? But I don't know when we got to the point where, like, with comedy, sometimes I don't find a lot of stuff funny. Not even that I find it offensive. I just don't find it funny.
I don't think it was about him being funny. It wasn't funny to me. It was.
But sometimes I realize when you get older, you start addressing social things. Yeah. So in my last battle that came out, my third round talks about Help DMV, Santa Claus, and me addressing R. Kelly. This is a battle rap. I took the third round out. I didn't even address the opponent. You know what I'm saying? So I wouldn't have done that when I was 25. Yeah. So the older you get, like, I've seen D.L. Hughley discuss, even on the podcast or even in his routine, serious matters at a comedy show. Yeah. Like, after a while, you it's like, okay, this is a platform now. Right. So I'm going to use it for what I use for. I'm going to follow up with this joke. Right. But, and that's why, I don't know, like, I probably wouldn't have watched it whether that was controversial or not. Like, but, all right, so a question for you. Cancel culture. Does it exist to you?
I'm not cool with trendy buzz phrases and stuff. But there are movements whose sole purpose is to impact your ability to generate income because of your views and your perspective. Case in point, we were talking about Kirk Franklin. He went off on his son. Now, you can just look at it from a black church perspective. You ain't got to look at it from society. You look at, he went off on his son, cussed him out. Now, you ain't supposed to cuss according to the Bible. That's what people will tell you. If you're a good Christian, you're not going to do this. Oh, but we understand, because that's between him and him. Don't you? They made all types of excuses for why it was okay. Donnie McClurkin was molested as a child, experienced or, went into a life of homosexuality for a period because of that experience. Right. Later on, decided that wasn't the life he wanted to be to live in for whatever reason, and proceeded to no longer to speak out about his truth and that he no longer supports homosexuality. Right. Now,
and like people grow.
He got to this day. Anytime he shows up at an event that's publicly funded, they come out against him and say, you need to get him off this program. And that conversation took place more than 20 years ago.
That's wild.
More than 20 years ago.
See, so my thing is, we don't know if someone and when someone is genuinely apologetic and remorseful, even when they apologize publicly. But the fact of the matter is, if they said it, I like to take people at their word, because they don't have.
He don't need to apologize.
I'm not talking about him. I'm talking about anybody for any. I'm talking about anybody for anything. Like if Chris Brown and Rihanna, if he says, I'm changed, I'm sorry. If that person forgave you, first of all, that's the most important thing. The person that was the victim. Right. But like, I love to take people at their word until they show me actions that show, all right, you know what, I was just doing that because I didn't want to lose my fan base. So what I was saying about cancel culture, to me, it seems to be the fakest thing. Because Kanye West was canceled 3 times in 1 year. The next year, he was a billionaire. The math ain't mathing.
It's because the movement is controlled by an oligarchy. It's a group. It's a group that's focused on it. It's not the culture in general. We know.
I mean, but
hip-hop,
people,
for example,
people
is
are
built by white
also,
folks.
well, people are also fickle.
True.
They'll say, I'm not rocking with you no more, but then you put out a hit the next month, and it's like, man, I can separate the artist from the person.
The people who are focusing on cancel culture are the minority of the majority. And we know, especially if you're talking hip hop, the majority, white folks, buy hip hop more than black folks. So if you're talking about canceling hip hop artists, for example, they might be quiet more than they'll, cancel them. But the people who are responsible for, that movement or that focus will do what they're supposed to do or what they feel they need to do.
The funny thing about Dave Chappelle specifically, and like this was without me seeing the. And I just thought to myself, and I told my wife, I said, how do you cancel someone who canceled themselves?
Right.
That man walked away from $50 million. You can't cancel
and that's
him.
what he said. That's what.
He said that.
You gotta see it. I'm telling you.
Now I gotta watch it.
Because he was like, if you're gonna get off the bus, don't just get on the bus, but you gotta get off and fight. And he's like, don't talk to me. I'm the one that got off the bus and left $500 million on it.
And then made it back with these Netflix
right.
specials 12 years later.
Right. So don't talk to
ago.
me. I'm the one doing the work.
Yeah.
So yeah, you need to. You should see that.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna watch it. Yeah. I just found that funny. I'm like, my man walked away from $50 million. Y'all talking about some canceling him?
Right.
You sound
and
crazy.
I'll never forget when
and he got
I think it was
paid up
Oprah
front
who
with Netflix.
interviewed him about that. And because there was a rumor that he went to Africa for medical stuff, and he was like, "Who the heck goes that?" No.
Young. All right. So this is my thing with cancel culture. Personally, I've canceled things in my own life,
Right.
but don't nobody even know it.
Right.
You about to get the exclusive gigs. I'm about to tell you. You mentioned Subway. I stopped eating Subway because the spokesperson Jared got locked up for the child pornography.
Right.
Now he's not the owner of Subway, but with me fundraising for sexually abused kids, it didn't sit right with me.
Exactly.
I'm like, when I think Subway, I think Jared. And I'm thinking if it didn't publicly happen that he got locked up, would they have kept him on? Like, a lot of times people be knowing these things and they keep it moving. Like,
Absolutely.
I stopped watching the NFL before the Kaepernick situation. The Ray Rice situation did it for me. Because they said that the Ravens had that footage for 4 months before it leaked. So my thing is, that man was still a member of your roster
Wow.
until that video leaked.
Yep.
So if and I got sick of NFL players just getting slaps on the wrist. You know what I'm saying? It was a rumor Dez Bryant had hit his mother. And then I'm like, these NFL players be like 300 pounds. And then because they're rich, their wife's probably some model-sized woman. So this is who you choose to hit on? I don't condone that.
Right.
So I stopped watching the NFL for that reason years ago. Because even if the Kaepernick situation, that may not have made me stop. Because this is a grown man that he made a decision. He chose to take a stand. And had it went the other way, he would have got back in the league. He was still trying to get back in the league. So I'm just like, I appreciate what you did, but that wouldn't have been it for me.
Yeah.
Like now, Kyrie Irving is the topic of discussion. The vaccination status, like, again, I'm not offering my opinion yet on that, but what I will say about Kyrie is he will stand on his square, and I love that about him. Whatever he say, he's standing on that. Because when he was with the flat Earth theory people, and he's just like, I'm like, whether I agree with you or not, I appreciate the fact that you're not flip-flopping about it. You know what I'm saying? And if somebody teaches you something and you be like, okay, you know what, y'all right, I'm wrong, and then change, I respect that too. But he stands on his square. And the fact that he's standing for other people, like somebody said, I hope he don't let us down and he turn around and get the vaccine. I said, you know what? I wouldn't be mad at him if he did that.
That's his choice.
I wouldn't be mad at him if he did that. I said, because Kyrie Irving is the type of person I don't want to lose money. He's very generous and philanthropic. I want him to have all the bread because Kyrie donates to things. So I'm like, people like that, I want to have money. You know what I'm saying? So personally with me, I just got this second dose like maybe 2 weeks ago. Like I just got the vaccine this year.
Me too.
Last month.
Me too.
For one, I wasn't leaving the house, honestly. I was here, so I really wasn't that big. Wasn't that big a deal to me. I didn't have to go in the office, so I wasn't. But I think the main reason, besides the fact that government jobs trying to mandate it or whatever have you, but the reason, it was two reasons. I said, I had joined the military back in the day, and they gave us like 9 shots in one day. I don't know what them joint. I know it was a TB joint and something else, but I'm like, at the end of the day, I didn't make no fuss about it then. I'm not about to let the fact that everybody is trying to be Dr. Sabi or whoever on social media, oh, Mo, you know, the Tuskegee experiment. And I'm like, look, I don't put nothing past the government. Trust me. They could be trying to kill us. Believe me, I don't doubt it. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say I'm a Christian and I got faith in God and then sit there and be questioning stuff and not trust them. And then also, the main reason was DJ was going back to school. And kids are just dirty. Like, we just gonna keep it a buck. I don't know why they let them kids. The kids is petri dishes, man. Like, they slide their hand on the rail at the metro station, then they scratch them. They don't even realize they did it. Like, kids is dirty. They trifling. It just is what it is. So, you know what I'm saying? Different factors factored into me, but at the end of the day, if somebody don't feel comfortable around you, they don't feel comfortable around you. You respect their space, respect their wishes. It is what it. I really don't like the mandate. I don't, but at the end of the day, I see the higher ups seeing it as we're trying to do whatever we can to contain it. And if this is the best viable option, then it is what it is. So I get it. I'm not going to, and I never campaigned for either way. I'm indifferent and I'm out the way. And that's my opinion. But I made a post saying just that though. Cause I'm like, sometimes people look to me for my opinion and I'm like, I'm going to give it to you. At the time I wasn't vaccinated. I said, I'm probably about to go get it. You do with that information what you will.
I don't give my opinion typically because it ain't none of your business.
Yeah.
No.
Well, there's that.
Saying,
well,
if I'm asked,
there's that.
Then I have the choice to share. But I think social media has just changed the landscape of logic, reasoning, respect. It's changed.
And please
the
stop
landscape
sharing
of so
memes without Googling stuff and looking it up because the information on them joints be false as I don't know what. Y'all gotta stop that.
Social media has changed the landscape for people to have thought of their own. You know, it's like everybody's doing it on the internet or everybody's talking. I see this trend, this dance trend, everybody's doing it now. I gotta go do it. It's like, why is that prompting your choices?
Stop walking on milk crates and stuff. Like, y'all gotta relax, man. You gotta relax. I didn't say nothing about it when it was going on, but y'all was really blowing me.
Man. And then of course, at some point, it's always taken out of the culture and appropriated by some other culture. And
oh yeah, once he did, oh now it's done.
Now it's
like
done.
when the person does it the absolute best. Oh, nobody else do it. It's over.
It's a wrap. So I don't. When
I
you look at my
I should
social,
have did it in freestyle while I was doing it because no one else has done that. Like that's the thing. You try
but
to
then
find.
everybody would have done it after
right,
you.
of course, that's what I'm saying.
And then it would have been, and it's hard to trace back to the person who originally did it. It becomes a social thing, and it's like a collective thought. And
then 10 years later, we're debating on where it originated. Oh no, they were doing it first in Yonkers.
I had a family friend. We called her Mama Green, and she went to be like 97. That's the dyslexia. That 97 years old. And
Theo had that on the Cosby Show.
He did.
I know everything
Yes,
about
you
every
did.
episode of A Different World, the Cosby Show, the Freshman. I just want to point that out.
I interviewed her a bit, not in depth like I wanted to before she passed. Like she had been around this area. She saw Andrews Air Force Base being built. That's how long she told me stories about seeing Andrews Air Force Base being built. That's how old she was. But I asked her, I'm like, what about all these new technological advances? Are these good things? And when I brought up the internet specifically, her whole face changed. She was like, no, because they're getting it too fast. Everybody's getting information too fast. They don't know how to process it. They don't know how to internalize it. Everybody's having this groupthink go on now.
That's the same thing that's happening with music. It comes
Absolutely.
out. No one has a classic album anymore because the music comes out way too fast, and 3 months later you want a new album from that artist. I'm like, bro, R&B artists was putting out albums 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? Now rappers, you got to give them 5 mixtapes.
We used artists back in the day as the social media platforms. We listened to their, what's going on. We listened to War. We listened to the songs let us know what we were supposed to think or how we contextualize the movement at that time. Mm-hmm. Now you've got it from so many different places so fast, and it's so easy to just go with what everybody else thinks instead of saying, hold on, let me process this, see how it affects me.
I wait 2 or 3 days sometimes when there's a trending topic before I even speak on it. If I even speak on it, because if it's something I feel like it's going to be a debate about, I don't be choosing to debate on my social media. I
don't
said what I said.
And that's
what I said.
That's what I mean by I don't share my opinion. My focus on my social media is straight inspiration and education. Period. Communication. Period. Self-talk. Media. What do you need to know about these things that are going to help change your life? Outside of that, hook up with me. Meet me for coffee so we can talk then. But I'm not going to put it out here. Right.
We did that.
I'm not going to put it out here for the world to analyze and debate about and stuff, because my opinion or my belief system, my values are not up for you to debate.
Is this what led to the life coach situation?
So when you do gospel, unfortunately, people assume you are in that kind of ministerial, and I was and have been, got credentials, all this stuff that I don't never talk about. But I needed to
gloss over stuff like that. But go ahead.
So I needed to formalize.
I'm going to Kirk Franklin you later, but go ahead.
I have an honorary doctorate. Did you know that?
I can believe it. I definitely can believe it. I knew. I didn't know, but I knew.
So people started coming to me, and I needed to formalize it. And the stigma around being a minister is real. Mm-hmm. Like, if you tell somebody you're a minister, you can completely shut them down and not get any help, not give them any help, because they just whoop,
DJ he can marry people and such.
Oh, cool. I'm not marrying nobody, don't ask me. But yeah, so life coaching became a way for me to help folks and it not be in a religious context. But I know where my motivation for inspiring people comes from, my relationship with God, but that don't mean I have to impose that on somebody else. Right. I just have to give them systems that they can work towards and apply to their life to actually get the help that they're looking for.
What, when it comes to that and not forcing religion on people, what I've always thought I would do is just be more of a sharing my blessings type person, let you see my life and let you figure out maybe what it is that I have that you don't have. Like, I've had people say, oh, Mo, you went to the casino all the time. And I'm like, I guess that's the sin and it's not the gospel, whatever. But it's like, oh, you're blessed. Or the first is you're lucky, and then it leads to you're blessed. Right. And then it's like, you know what? That's what's different in my life and his. You know what I'm saying? Like, I try to get my stepson to understand when you're yourself and you're comfortable in yourself, everybody will love you.
Right.
Like, I didn't realize until I looked at the award the other day, the Gospel Rap Award I won was in 2007. So that means I was writing these songs in 2006, 2007. I was 25 years old. I was like, you was really on that at 25. Like, it's amazing to think about in hindsight. Like, at the moment, you don't realize what you're doing. Like, I went to church, I felt the way I wrote a song. Right. But I was like, I was 25. But to me, honestly, it shouldn't be a surprise. I grew up in church just like anybody else grew up in church. But I was like, at 25, and my label mates are Crips. I didn't try. I was never asked to join the gang. I wasn't attempted. They didn't attempt to jump me in. I didn't want to be in. But they accepted me because I could rap. That was our common bond. We can all rap real good. And it's like, okay, even if something was about to go down, it was like, okay, I remember one time there was something was about to happen, and I was asked, they say, Mo, you want me to take you to your father's house or to your grandma's house? You not even, I don't even care if you want to be down. Right. You not. Right. Like they told me I wasn't. Right. And I'm just like, that man just disrespected your sister. I'm with it. Like, we can fight. Like, you know what I'm saying? But it's like, Mo, you take care of your nephews and nieces. You help your sister out and all that. Like, this ain't you. Right. We not gonna let it be you. That's like, I remember back in the day, like, you'd have the OG drug dealer dude. He's steering the kid away from, like, dog, you nice in basketball. When you get to the NBA, you look out for the block later. That's do it. Like, we missing that now. Like, I remember Tony Lewis Jr. telling me one time, he said, even if he doesn't talk to the kids on the block, the one thing they see from him on the street, they see him leave the house every day and go to work. Yeah. They don't see you hanging out, just leaning on your car, talking to people all day and drinking and drugging. So I'm like, you know what? That makes a difference. You don't even have to necessarily say something to them. I was at a bus stop once, and these kids was like 3 teens, and they were cussing, and it was an older lady sitting at the bus stop. I gave them the look, and I was like, hey, yo, like, pointed at the lady, and he was like, oh my bad. And then he tapped his friends and stopped. I'm like, that's all it took. I didn't disrespect the young boys. I'm like, yo, what are y'all doing? Y'all see this lady right here, blah, blah. Because all that would have did was make them cursing me, and then we going back and forth. Right. And now the lady's stressed out because she don't know if a fight about to happen. Somebody gonna pull out a gun. So it's your approach. Sometimes you just gotta be respectful and lead by example.
I hate to say, and I wouldn't know this had I not done enough international work as well. That a lot of this is unique to those of us in America, to Black folk in America.
What you mean?
I mean. I did mission work in Jamaica, for example.
I've always wanted to do mission work in another country.
Oh man, it's phenomenal.
That seems like the experience.
I went a couple times, and in talking to the people there, we would ask them about different celebrities and stuff who were Jamaican, and they're like, listen, if they don't come back, they can never come back. Like when you go and you make it, you're expected to come back home.
I expected too. I'm gonna keep it honest with you.
You expected to come home and show the people love.
And see, that's what you were saying. Like artists back then, like the music reflected the times, this social climate. Like I watched the documentary recently on Bob Marley, and like he was the politics with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, it's one thing for the politicians to want you to come perform at their campaign kickoff and all that, but for you to want to do it because you legit want to see your area better, like it's a different you know what I'm saying? Like the Sam Cooks of change gonna come. Like I need them songs. I want them songs at all times because they're just, for one, those songs like I've said this about artists with making music. When you make a song that means something to you, it's gonna last, because someone that might not be going through that thing at that moment, but when they do, because you made it out of the feeling you had. So like if I break up with my girlfriend and I write that song, you can be in a happy relationship, but when that happens to you, that's your song now. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, just make.
You know JJ Harrison? Yeah. He'll tell you a story.
Hey, listen, I listen to gospel for real.
And I know you do.
I know I'm the battle rapper. Like Slim. I could YouTube DJ with the man.
He'll tell you the story all the time. When I was working in New York, he came there, and he was really trying to promote his album, and it was the first one after, because his very first one he had a partner, and I don't know the story behind that. But then this one was just him. It was all on his shoulders, and I told him, listen, don't try to cross over. Everybody's trying to write something to deliberately cross over so that they're Donnie or
it's gonna happen if it's gonna happen.
Don't do something deliberate right from your heart.
Because it sounds like you did it
deliberately. I said right from your heart, and it will do what it's supposed to do. And he remembered that. His next album, he poured himself into it. He's been skyrocketing ever since.
An artist told me that one time, because he said, Mo, I understand now why you never finish writing, like why it takes you so long to write a verse. He said, you're thinking too much. He told me to write with my heart and then go back and edit with my mind.
Yeah, because you can't edit a blank page.
He said, if you want to edit with your mind after you write with your heart.
You cannot edit a blank page. You got to get, when I work with, everything is communication. So I work with potential authors and speakers and stuff. And when they sit down, they're like, I don't know how to start my book, because self-publishing is the thing. Stop trying to get all these deals. Artists, authors, I don't care who you are, stop trying to get deals, all right? Own your own economy. Anyway, and so I tell them all the time, you cannot edit a blank page. Just start. Just pour. You're worried about what chapters and how many this.
You ever
and how
seen
many, just pour.
Finding Forrester?
No.
The movie, the boy is real good in basketball. So he ends up going to this special school, but it's because of how smart he is. It ain't just basketball. But the assumption is it's because he could dribble the basketball. So he writes real well. And long story short, he meets this guy, older white guy, and the guy starts helping him with his writing. And he was sitting at the typewriter. And he told him, he was like, what? He's like, what? He said, start typing. And he was like, a few seconds later, he was like, why aren't you typing? He was like, I'm thinking. He's like, punch the damn keys. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's it.
Like, you gotta start writing. You're gonna love Finding Forrester. All right, so these are my types of movies. I love the movies where the young black kid just exceeds all expectations, like education, like Akilah and the Bee, Finding Forrester. Well, you know what? It ain't just black, because Good Will Hunting is one of those movies. The reason I just killed the mosquito
Yeah,
on my
it's been
forehead.
flying,
Lord
see?
Jesus
See,
Christ.
the blood of
And that's the blood of Jesus. They haven't even really been out here. Like we got a real good day here today. But so I was in high school. I'm at Tall Oaks. So these are all these bad kids. You're not expecting there to be this extra smart kid mixed in a bunch, right? So I'm in the auto mechanics class, and the teacher had to step out, so he asked like a resource officer to just like stand there for a minute. And this resource officer
Scratch it.
I'm trying to make sure I don't have splotches on my film on the camera, man. Like, so he says, come here. I'm just like, oh God, what did I do? And he said, I hear you talking in the hallways a lot, and just in passing, he was like, you're Goodwill Hunting. And I'm just like, I've never heard of them. I haven't even heard of it, let alone seen it. And I'm like, why you keep calling, like, what? And I hear the goodwill, and I'm like, I know I got a good heart. And I'm thinking the Bible and goodwill towards men. Like, what? Like, how do you know about me? Like, because I used to buy people's lunch and stuff because I had the money.
Right.
And I watched the movie, and I was like, this dude just called me a whole genius. Like, because I'm just like, but it's funny because I'm really him, because he was good in math, which is what I do. And he was real sarcastic, you know what I'm saying, and bad. I was like, I am him, like I really am. So I was just like, wow, like I just like, wow, like this is how people really perceive you sometimes, and somebody you don't even know is even paying you any attention, because I didn't pay him no attention. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, and I would have never been told that, I don't believe, had he not had to fill in for that class. Like, he may have never said anything in life. So I say that to say, do what you're doing and understand that somebody's watching you, and keep that in the back of your mind. And I think that keeps me on the straight-ish and narrow path, because I know there's somebody, like, for one, there's a kid in the house. I know I'm being watched, but you're being watched by people you don't even realize. Like, on my social media, I don't post certain things because I've spoken to so many kids at schools, and they follow me, and the reverend follow me in different things, and I get that they're human, but it's just me knowing, like, you know how a lot of people say, oh, I don't care what people think about me. I'm like, I think that's a lie every time anybody says it. Because if that was the case, you wouldn't come out the house fresh. You wouldn't iron your clothes. It's different thing. Like, you care to a degree. You care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you put effort into making your music or doing your job, and you making sure the voiceovers are correct. Like, you care. You know what I'm saying? So for me, I hope it doesn't sound dark to anybody, but I often have envisioned what, if I died at a young age, what my funeral would look like. How many people would be, I mean, because I know a lot of people, but I'm like, but would they all come? Like, let's say, like, do you need the space of a Pure Lounge, or do you need a space the size of Union Temple? Like, are people going to donate to a charity in my name? Is my following going to go up after all the people that unfollowed me or something? Like, I be wondering about all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it going to be, oh, I was just with him yesterday, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, ain't nobody called my phone in a month. No, you weren't. Like, you wasn't you ain't even talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really be thinking about that type stuff. So
I started writing that stuff down for my daughter. She's 22, and I mean, like, it's unpredictable. So it is
22.
gruesome.
She was just like 14.
I know.
She was just like 14. Like, she was just like 14. Like,
she was just sleeping in a car seat on the radio station floor.
I legit, I mean, she was just there. I seen her.
She's 22,
I definitely seen her.
grown, living in New York.
See, COVID has made. It was just yesterday in 2019.
Yes.
2019 was definitely just yesterday. So, like, time really. And the thing is, like, we got to get back to calling people, not even just texting them, but calling them, because it's like you feel like you communicating with somebody because you talk to them, or not even talk to them, but you like the post.
Yeah.
Or because you scrolled past them.
I've gotten that a lot.
And I'm like, Slim, I haven't.
Like, no, bro.
I could have changed my number at the end of 2019.
You need to find out what's going on in my life if you truly care.
Yeah, like, you don't even know that my number is different. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I had this. I took a thing. I Googled it, and I took a phrase where it says invalid number or whatever, the little text message, like if your phone was off. So somebody texted me one time, and after not talking to them in months, and I sent that back. Now, they should have realized it, because the message said said delivered. It said delivered when you text me, because we both had iPhones. Sorry, you know who you are. But yeah, you know what I'm saying. Like I played, but they called immediately to make like you know what I'm saying. Like these are the things. Yeah. But like I like to have fun. Like I be wanting to. That's why I'm doing this. Like what people don't understand is though I might be helping them promote their brand or their business, it's giving me a conversation. Like I've been missing this. Yeah. I have admitted. Like I never thought I'd be depressed in my life. I have been lonely since COVID started. And people was like, how? Your wife's your best friend and you live with 2 people. I'm like, listen, first of all, let me break it down. Let me break it down for you. She's teleworking. I'm not. I'm just home. I have all day. So I'm not going to bother somebody all day while they're actually working. Yeah. Then she builds websites. So this is her side job in her free time. So she's in her office.
You ain't looking for me.
Definitely ain't looking for me. Like I said, I've been straightish and narrow. And then the kid, you know, he was doing the distance learning. Then you want to play the video game or whatever with your friend, and that's cool. So like, what I did to find something to do with my time, I actually lost 30 pounds. I had got on the treadmill and I started working out. I'm doing sit-ups, but I'm working out for like I lost the 30 pounds in like 2 months because I'm working out for damn near 8 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? So I gained it back. Thanks to Thanksgiving. Look, I went from 225 to 194, right? 194, that was the lowest I got. That morning was Thanksgiving. So we don't starve ourselves around here. We had a real breakfast on Thanksgiving. We had grits and corned beef hash and biscuits and all that, right? So that morning, I did like 8 miles on the treadmill. I tried to go hard because I knew what was coming, right? I knew it was coming. Then Thanksgiving, I didn't have no 2 plates because we was here. We didn't go nowhere because of COVID. So we was in the house. I didn't have no extra portions or nothing. But eating the leftovers for like the next 2 days, at the end of 3 days, I was 207 pounds from 194. I was like, why does it take 3 years to lose weight in 3 minutes to get it?
So listen, now I gotta break my communication coaching thing out because, and if you looked at any of my social media, that's my thing about around, especially this month is Depression Awareness Month.
I'm here.
And so
Domestic Violence Awareness Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. Hey, look, this call stuff, I do this. I just want to point that out.
It takes nothing for a negative thought to derail everything positive that you've built up in your mind and your mindset, about an understanding about who you are, about what you have, about how good you are, your qualification, anything. It takes nothing but one thing being said by one person and you receiving that and then saying it to yourself. And having an idle mind. Then you saying it to yourself over and over again. We have 80,000 thoughts in one day. And 75% of those, you probably do, 75% of those are negative and they're on repeat. And so it takes nothing.
You try to talk yourself out of them.
But
sometimes when you're in that sulking moment, it's hard. And then you got to think. So for me, what probably was bothering me so much was I wasn't getting out and about amongst the people. Because I could be in a room full of people and be content with just being there. I don't even have to talk to none of them. I'm just there amongst people or getting out and helping folks and all that. Which is why I loved Help DMV because I was able to still help people pay their bills and do things from home.
Right.
You know, so it was just, it was admitting it, but I thought it was really important for me to post how I was feeling so that when I'm not feeling that way, you can see, okay, Maurice went through it, but then he got through it.
Right.
That's the reason I did it. It was one day, it was $6 in my bank account. I know I had $28 one day, right? And I chose to post it to let people know in the middle of COVID, I'm like, we all going through whatever. And a few seconds later, I seen a post where a friend of mine, she had told everybody she had cancer. I had $28.
Right.
I donated 20. Then there's the fees for the GoFundMe. So now I got like $6, right? But it didn't matter to me. Like we had groceries.
Right.
I was getting paid again in 3 days. Like I still had a job. You know what I'm saying? And one of my friends, I had just seen his little mantra he started, and it's a hashtag. And I told him, I said, I don't even think you understand what it. Like I don't think you really like, or maybe you did. And I really get it. But he wrote broke on purpose. And I was like, boy, we about to run with this one. Cause that's it. Like it's like I really am. Like I tell people, like I am not gonna be rich unless I get it in a lump sum. It's just it's how I choose to live, and I'm okay with it because I always have what I need and get it. So what ended up happening very, very shortly after that $6 situation, I'm trying to think of how much the stimulus check was that came. $600. I go to the casino every day because I had nothing to do. And I'm not going in there trying to strike it rich. I won $800 one day, $1,000 the next day, $400 one day. I got to the point where I ended up with like $6,000. I said, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna take $5,000 and I'm gonna give it away. It's gonna be the raffle prize. And I told people, I think at this raffle, I don't know if it was $1 or $2, but I did not ask for a lot. I don't even think I asked for $5. I really might have made it $1. I think it was $1, so that way if somebody wanted to enter 20 times, get 20, whatever the case was. A month and a half, raised $13,000.
Wow.
Which makes it funny when people question. Like if somebody, the people that follow me don't question me, but when somebody shares it, they be like, "Oh, your man over there trying to scam." I be like, "What y'all don't realize is, I might have trusted y'all more than y'all trusted me." That first year with Help DMV, I was paying bills with my bank card. I was depositing the money from the Cash App to my account and paying the bills with my card. The next year, I got the Cash App card and did whatever have you. But I was just like, did you forget the basis of this? Money that was raised was the $5,000 that I won from a $600 check that I was given. Like the thought of me retiring off of $1 donations is laughable. You know what I'm saying? Like it's laughable, literally. Like for one, I have a job that I've been at for 17 years. You know what I'm saying? But it's been times there was more money sitting in the Cash App than there was in my account, and I didn't care. My integrity ain't in question to me. I don't care about what you think. You don't have, and at the end of the day, you still have a chance of winning $5,000. And okay, you gave me $1. You done lost $1 in your clothes in the washing machine. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just funny. So like one of my friends, he had checked somebody he knew. He told somebody he knew that had a lot of money. He was like, "Yo, you should donate to this." And he showed him my picture. He was like, "Oh, I see your man in the casino. That's what you doing to people money." He said, "Mo, I almost beat him up." Because because of how much he loved me. You know what I'm saying? And one time somebody did the best thing I've ever seen. So they tagged somebody on my post and was like, "Hey, donate to this," right? Telling them basically you got a chance to win this raffle, but also just donate to it. And they was like, I couldn't believe they asked. They said, "Is this legit?" And I'm like, that's kind of insulting to the person that tagged you. Like you don't think that they're smart enough to, like they asked you to do it. So she said, "I'm not asking you to trust Mo. I trust Mo. I'm asking you to trust me." I was like I felt that. I was like, wow. But you'd be amazed how many community people are scammers and janky. So that's why I'm not offended. I'm not offended.
I dealt with the church. I would not be amazed.
The church folk. Church folk talking about you bad. The one we was talking about earlier, the country one, Bernice. It was her with the church mother hat on, sitting there talking about, "You see that baby coming in? She had that dress on at the club Saturday. Ain't gonna come in here with that, still smelling like that."
Most people think churches are nonprofits, and most of them aren't.
No, they're not.
They're for-profit businesses. They're a business. Like
that's why the pastor driving the Benz, okay? Because he got the paycheck. It's a job. It's a job. Why can't the pastor drive a Benz? What? Act like the pastor. Why the pastor got to be in the Honda, the Elantra? Why he got to be in the Focus?
He don't have to be, but
the pastor's 6'4". He don't need to be in the Ford Focus.
But he need to make sure his people have the wisdom to. Now, if they choose not to, they choose not to. But do they have the knowledge to get a Bentley if they want to too?
I ain't say the Bentley. I didn't say the Bentley. I said the Benz. I said the Benz. I said the Benz.
Do they have the knowledge?
It's not the latest year's model. I'm just pointing that out.
There's plenty of business strategies and skills in the Bible if you want to just only come from there. But give them the knowledge. Let them know how to get it.
Tell them how to get a PPP loan.
No, don't do that.
No, not the PPP. They're not even really getting punished for real. You know the funny thing is, white collar crimes get you way less time in prison. Like you try to rob the bank up the street.
If you white, it do. You still got
the collar, different guy. The white
self in front of that
the white collar crime. The views of Denise Hill are not necessarily the views of Maurice.
Let's play this Connect Force so we can.
Yeah, man, I ain't put this here for no reason. Let me see. Denise Hill. How would I rap about Denise Hill? I would say if I stabbed her, would Denise hit? See, I'm a battle rapper. Let me stop. I'm sorry. Because I said Denise Hill, like, or if my sister's child was sick and I waited till Denise Hill, is that better? Or something about like your tennis.
Your weight and you think that
what about your tennis shoe? Hey, listen. First of all, I grew up in New Carrollton around a lot of Hispanic people, pardon the stereotype, but I'm about that knife game. I will stab you for real. I don't like guns. I hate guns. I will stab.
Because if I can still move, it's on.
I was trained by Uncle Sam. I know what I'm doing.
I'm ladies,
ladies
that's
first.
as good as being
hold
trained by Uncle Sam.
So is it? That's way worse, actually. That's way worse. Them people scary. When we was at the MEP station, they stand there and move. Marines don't even blink. It be mosquitoes right here, gnats and all that. You see them commercials and you think man, listen,
Yeah.
All right, pardon all the stereotypes too. I'm sorry. I'm being. I don't know. Women first, or are we on the I'm every woman, 90s woman, independent women?
I don't care.
Oh, okay. I should have put a Scrabble table out there. That's what I should have did. I be playing Words with Friends on the phone with like 8 different people at a time. I mean, I'm not sitting here just trying to lose. I mean, I be trying to make people go where I want them to go.
No, I'm gonna need you to stop that.
This is how I play this game. Then I'm gonna be mad if I lose. See, I don't like the fact that you making me play where I didn't want to play. That's not what I'm here for. Like, what? Yeah, good luck with that one. Hold on, let me see what we want to do here. Good luck with that strategy right there. That ain't gonna be the one. You have to find another one. We'll have to find another one because that ain't it. See, that's cute. This is real cute, but we not going there. I'm gonna make you play. You play over there real quick. We gonna do this my way. I'm gonna play chess with somebody if I remember how to play it all. See, there you go again. There you go, and she just won too, by the way. I just, she did that. Now I'm gonna sit here and act like I got another option. Actually, I do. I won. Connect 4.
Oh!
You see what happens when you playing this game sometimes. You get so focused on offense that you forget. And I didn't even see it at first. I seen how you set me up.
Long to think. Yeah. You should have did speed joint.
What's the movie? You seen Fresh?
Man, why are you throwing out old stuff? I watched the History Channel. Okay?
Alright, so I'm giving you movies from back in the day. So, in Fresh, they playing chess, and he was talking about Bobby Fish and all them. He said, but if you put the clock on, I'll whoop all of them. Yeah. It make a difference.
It does.
You gotta get a rematch though, because that was good. I really thought I was done. I'm sitting there talking, and I'm looking. I was like, oh, hold up, I won. But yeah, that's what happens. That's with chess. Like, you can't. It's offense, defense. So I was telling DJ earlier that I think tennis players are the best in shape athletes because they go from offense to like maybe not body built looking, but they gotta go from offense to defense every couple of seconds. Basketball, you get a break on defense a little bit because he said baseball, and I was like, nah, they standing around.
Are the best athletes.
I'm talking about sports here.
And then CrossFit is a sport.
I'm talking about sports.
What are you talking about?
But I'm talking about sports.
CrossFit is a sport.
I think Serena Williams like the greatest athlete of all time.
She's awesome.
She don't do CrossFit. What is CrossFit? Ain't that like exercise?
She actually does with her training.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not exercise. It's a sport. There's different levels to it. You can just exercise.
How do you score CrossFit?
But CrossFit has a sport.
How do you score it? Like you're doing it by yourself.
Game. Go watch the CrossFit game.
But you're doing it by yourself, though, aren't you?
No, you're not.
All right. So what about?
There is an individual sport, but they also have team sports.
What about the Tour de Lance? I'd say that.
Biking.
Yeah, because Lance Armstrong won every year. So that's why I call it the Tour de Lance. But
you had to give back all of that too.
Yeah, but I'm just saying. Yeah, I know. Big cheating. Cheating's not. We don't condone cheating, but I'm saying like how far they be doing. All right, so when you do the things, that's not jogging. That's walking, right?
When I do ruck.
The marine.
The rucking.
The marathon drinks. What are they called?
I do a bunch of them. So I ruck, but I also do Spartan races.
What the heck is ruck? And what is these ain't neither one of them are what I'm talking about.
You were in the military. You rucked. You had to go running with a full back.
Oh yeah, with the back.
With weights.
Listen, when I tell you I try to X that stuff out. First of all, I wasn't in the military. Let's keep this 100.
Oh.
I left the day before graduation of basic training because I do not like being told what to do. I don't know why I went. I'm keeping 100 with you.
The day before graduation.
Yeah.
So that means you went.
Yes, I did it. It wasn't hard. I wasn't scared. I didn't leave for none of those reasons.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't like. They was keeping secrets. I don't like people keeping
It's the
secrets.
government. What you think?
Right. I know. I work for them already. So yeah.
Fast, man. Let's go.
Oh,
Come
all
on.
right. Let's get it.
Go.
You ain't scaring nothing. Come on. Come on, Cletus. Yeah, you don't even know where you want to go. Let's go. You blocked in. See me. Yeah, right. Good luck with that one. See what happens when you go fast? You do silly stuff like that. Don't slow down now. Yeah, now you gotta look to see what I'm doing. Y'all scared now, ain't you? You wanted to go fast though, didn't you? I'm about that life. Yeah, right. There she
Oh,
go.
you're thinking again. Stop
Yeah, because
it.
you won. She put the clock on. We out. Once I lose on my show, it's over.
DeniseHill.com.
I should make her see me in horse or something.